Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, who's crushing on you and what do they admire most about you? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the blue kyanite. Group 2 is the golden healer quartz. And group 3 is the malachite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. Chose the blue kyanite. So let's start by taking a look at who's crushing on you. Okay, we have the Star, Three of Pentacles, and the Two of Cups. So there's a sense here that this could be somebody that you have a work connection with, somebody that might be in some sort of a position of authority, well-known, well-liked within the workplace. They may be very good at what they do. Maybe this is even somebody with like a local degree of celebrity or notoriety, something where they're very renowned in their field or industry. This can also be somebody that has like a social media presence, so they could be, an influencer or somebody who is working towards making some kind of public career for themselves. And there's a sense here that this is somebody that you have direct interactions with. This isn't just like secret admirer from afar, but there may almost be like a mutual chemistry or flirtation between the two of you. It feels to be something that there may also be some degree of collaboration as far as work is concerned. So this can even be like a former coworker, somebody that has relocated, switched jobs. Maybe you've switched jobs or relocated, and yet you still keep in touch, maybe, from a distance, from afar. This could be somebody that you've known for a while, or even somebody from your past that you've caught up with again on social media. Maybe they were doing one thing or were headed down one particular career path and they have since pivoted or changed directions in some sort of way, to where it may be very surprising, the transition within this person. They've sort of, it feels like maybe come into their own from when you first met them, or changes that have happened within this person, or even within you over the course of time, that sort of like the more you're getting to know them, the more they're getting to know you, or even just sort of time itself, it's almost like you make more sense with one another the more time that passes, like almost a bond between the two of you that continues to strengthen and grow and develop into kind of something more multifaceted than it had been at first. So it can even be like a former coworker that now there's a friendship, and you find that you bond with one another in a lot more ways or on a lot more levels than was possible when you were sort of just dealing with one another in like a work capacity. This can also be somebody that, as far as their profession is concerned, they may work in some sort of outreach, work with people. This can be somebody who is like helps to motivate or counsel other people in a variety of ways. That can be like literally a counselor, maybe somebody who works in a legal profession, customer service, dealing with people in terms of like troubleshooting issues. IT is coming through as well, so that can be something that they work in or that they used to work in. This can be somebody that works in the tech industry or maybe is even just kind of tech savvy themselves. There's a sense here that they may be like a peer or a contemporary of yours, so very similar in terms of age, background and experience. So this can definitely be somebody you grew up with, or just you grew up at the same sort of time as one another. So culturally, there's a lot of the similar references. You've kind of moved through time, through decades, having similar points of reference to one another. But this can be somebody that almost, it feels like their status might be a little bit higher than yours within the workplace, or just in terms of like the path that they've chosen in their life or the trajectory that that's taken compared to like what it was when you first met them, or even sort of comparably speaking, like where you are at. So if this is a work situation, this could almost be like a manager or a supervisor, compared to maybe you, who is just sort of a standard employee, for example. So let's see now what they admire most about you. Okay, we have God box. Write any worries, concerns, or desires on a piece of paper that you put into a special container called a God box as a way of letting go and allowing the divine to help you. Crown chakra. Pay attention to your ideas as they are messages of true divine guidance sent in answer to your prayers. Lancelot. Romance, chivalry, heroism, and devotion. Galahad. Surrender, triumph, purity, and courage. Energy. And patience. So there's a sense of some kind of maybe long-term goals that you've been working towards. That can be professionally or personally, with the idea of crown chakra and patience, that maybe you've discussed with this individual, or if they've known you for quite some time, or even just over a period of time, they may have seen you grow and evolve, professionally or along some sort of personal path. And it speaks as well about like work ethic in this capacity, and a determination to sort of set a course for a very particular future. And despite obstacles or time that it may take to reach certain goals, they see you as somebody who is very determined, willing to go with the flow, willing to kind of, put in the extra work, go the extra mile to, sort of learn to wait in the times where it seems that your path may be obstructed forward, or there's just not opportunity. And then they also see you as somebody who is very intuitive and willing to sort of leap towards those opportunities and do what you need to do in order to kind of create, it feels like, a vibrational match within you towards longer term goals and dreams. So rather than sort of expecting circumstances or an outcome to sort of conform with you, they see you as somebody who's very adaptable, very willing, it feels like, as well, to kind of take constructive criticism. Maybe this person's given you notes about things, they've given you feedback. This can be professionally or even things that you've discussed personally. And rather than taking offense, or kind of turning the other way, or giving them some sort of negative feedback, taking it very personally, there's a sense of you're a really good active listener, and you tend to implement strategies that people give you. This doesn't necessarily have to like apply to this person, but they see you as somebody who is very adaptable in terms of like longer term goals that you have, things that really matter to you, that you're determined in your own mind, you're a go-getter. But at the same point in time, you're flexible. You're willing to kind of adjust and be more malleable as the situation requires it. As maybe things that you have endeavored or you've decided to undertake that may not prove to be efficient, might not be sort of the best path forward. There's a sense of you really have your pride and ego in check enough, that you don't let defeat or sort of a sense of things aren't necessarily moving at the pace or in the unfolding in the way that you would have wanted to. You don't let that bring you down, or you don't let that bring you down for long. They see you as somebody who's very, open and willing to not just give advice and feedback to other people, but again, to sort of take that as well and utilize that in a way to where, your feelings aren't hurt, but you're sort of taking that as an example of where can I do better? Where can I improve? Where can I improvise in my life to, sort of generate results in a more efficient sort of manner? It feels like they also see you as somebody that you are very passionate, and when you set your heart to something, or you have a dream or you have a goal, you almost help to really rally or inspire other people, even when you just sort of talk about the things that matter to you. It's something that it feels like this person, you've helped to awaken or reinforce where they are along their own path in terms of working harder towards those goals, or appreciating almost how far they have come, the journey as opposed to the destination itself. You may be somebody who has encouraged this person to sort of pick up dreams that they had deferred, things that they themselves might have gotten a little bit frustrated with the idea of patience, results not coming quick enough, or sort of obstacles, bumps in the road that they may have encountered, that maybe this person has even sort of leaned on you. They've confided in you in a way, or you've kind of troubleshooted things with one another. And whatever it is that is sort of, examples that you've given, metaphors from your own life, or, sage advice and wisdom is also coming through as very kind of valuable to this person, in the sense that you don't just speak as somebody who is kind of like sharing an opinion, but it's almost like the way in which you sort of convey feedback, or again, the things that like matter most to you. You really help people to sort of find that inner fire within themselves, to not just sort of do things for the sheer sake of doing them, but to really sort of find that purpose, find that passion inside, and to infuse and imbue that kind of in everything. They see you as somebody, it feels like, who is able to alchemize challenges very effectively. So they, again, if you've known this person for a while, or they've kind of watched you evolve and grow, maybe even professionally speaking, they've watched you kind of rise in the ranks, or maybe you've, expressed that you have kind of interest in like a higher position. They see you as somebody who's very determined to kind of put in that work, take the time necessary to, not just fast track something, but to really do it right. You're somebody who's not afraid to sort of like reach out for help, reach out for advice. They see you as somebody who also, is very kind of brave in terms of innovation, thinking outside of the box, maybe even things that you've expressed to them, or advice or feedback just in the course of conversations, that has almost provided them with sort of missing links, or keys to certain things that have unlocked doors within themselves to kind of increase their stamina in terms of long-term goals that they're working toward. Or again, a sense of like appreciating how far they've come, where they're at in their particular path, maybe looking around at places where they've sort of like settled for themselves. They've gotten very comfortable within kind of their position in their life or professionally, and you've inspired this person to kind of think of the bigger picture. So it feels like with these energies, there is an essence here with kind of this Two of Cups, and obviously it's a reading about somebody who's like crushing on you. So there's emotions here. There's kind of like a mutual chemistry, flirtation back and forth. But it feels like the biggest thing that is the draw to you by this person, or from this person, is almost like the essence of who you are, your energy itself, your enthusiasm, the way you are able to kind of lift the spirits of the room that you're in. You light up the room that you're in. You may be a light worker, or this person sees you as a light. When you talk about things that matter and that are meaningful to you, your energy makes you glow, and it's very contagious. And it's something where, unlike being, opportunistic, or just kind of wanting to be around your energy and siphon it, it's almost, you light them up inside. You get them really fired up about things. They feel very encouraged to not restrain themselves or restrict themselves in ways, not kind of temper themselves or water themselves down. But there's a sense here that they like the fact that you lead by example, and sort of just being as bright as you can, or as you need to be, or as you want to be in sort of any particular situation, very unapologetically. There's a level of enthusiasm within you, again, it's very contagious, that this person sees. They see that you have a positive effect on other people, or again, it's almost like you light up whatever the situation is. You kind of make that environment better. You leave the world a better place than you found it. And that can be like, in general, you're working towards something big, something meaningful, something, where you're trying to make a difference, in the world, or in the lives of people, or even if this is like a professional connection, or, if you're socializing with this person, it's almost like people are better after spending time in your company. You may be a really good problem solver, a really good shoulder to cry on, and also giving really good advice to help people sort of look for solutions rather than getting kind of like bogged down in the monotony of challenges in and of themselves. So it's a quality about like your spirit, basically, is the thing that at this point in time that this person is crushing on the most. So let's get some messages from their higher self, and then I'll close the reading out with some initials. Okay, and they say I have inner childhood wounds. So this almost feels to be something where you make them feel like a kid again. You help them to sort of forget their woes and worries, or this may even be something where you've inspired them to sort of look at themselves and where kind of a lack mentality, fear of failure, fear of rejection, where they may have kind of held themselves back in their life. They feel very inspired by you, by your living example, or even just kind of the energy that you radiate that helps them to believe more is possible for themselves. Even if this is somebody who's very, successful, relatively speaking, there's almost a sense of, again, like, what dreams have you deferred, or where could you be sort of giving more, moving more with a sense of passion and purpose and intention, rather than kind of just going through the motions of life or sleepwalking through one's day and one's reality. Being around you is almost a very healing essence as well. They feel revitalized and rejuvenated, and it's almost like you shine a light and point the way to kind of where they can access that same energy within themselves, which they feel is like the quality of a true leader. You're not just sort of gifting them energy or allowing them to sort of absorb your energy, but it's almost whatever you bring to the table. Maybe it's like things you talk about, or whatever you're focused on, or just a natural sort of essence that radiates from you. It lights them up from the inside in a way that they now, after kind of dealing with you, have this sort of indicator of where to go within themselves to find that same spark and motivation. And they also say, I've been thinking about proposing to you. So this person could be getting ready to like ask you out on a date, profess their feelings, take the circumstance further than just like a professional connection or somebody that you're friendly with. If this is someone like you've reconnected with online, maybe from childhood, or that's the kind of the means that you're dealing with one another. There can be sort of this essence of, trying to make plans to get together, to, spend more time talking with one another, make in some way the situation more exclusive. And they also say, I really do miss you a lot. So there's a sense that this person thinks about you a lot in between the times when they see you or when they talk to you. There's a sense of different periods that have gone on in their life, maybe things recently where they could have used your advice. They could have used your emotional support, or even kind of that spark, that inspiration, that light within you, to kind of pick them up, to sort of stand by them in a sense of luminosity while they were maybe dealing with some heavy or kind of darker things. It feels like something that progressively over time they're starting to appreciate, the impact that you make on their life, and it's a way of wanting to sort of like strengthen the connection or spend more time with you, rather than allowing sort of the situation to dissipate or for you to kind of drift out of their life in some way. And they also say you gave me that spark. So there's that confirmation of you light this person up from the inside. You give them the warm and fuzzies. You make them feel like a kid again. You make them feel like anything's possible. You really inspire this person. And they also say you're so different, but that's why I love you. So you may be very different from the type of person that they usually gravitate towards. And this could be something that is very inspiring for them. It's something new. It's something novel. It's something that almost like feels right at the essence of them. You know, spending time with you, or what they're getting to know about you, or you're getting to know about one another. It's almost the sense of this person saying, I've been missing out this whole time in my life. I've been sort of dealing with people romantically, or even just people in my life in general, where it was maybe draining connections, you know, something that was kind of like dealing with people on a surface level, and you feel to really touch this person down in their soul. There's also the sense here of, you know, if this is someone that it's been over a course of time, they've watched you evolve, they've watched you change and grow, and it's in a good way. Even if you've gone through some trials and tribulations, they're seeing you as almost more luminous than you were when they first met, or when they last sort of saw you. And they also say, when we first met, I just always had this feeling about you. So this definitely could be like a past life connection, or like a soulmate sort of energy. Definitely feels to be something that this is a circumstance where this person is not just crushing and they're going to sit on the sidelines and kind of look at you with puppy eyes forever. There's a sense here of wanting to sort of create some sort of momentum. Becoming very enthusiastic about the idea of progressing the situation further, or even just the time that they spend with you. They're revitalized in some sort of way, to where they're wanting to give more back to the situation with you. They're wanting to enhance or expand the nature and duration of your dealings with one another. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got B, F, C, V, N, I, R, S, H, Q, R, P, K, W, O, W, and E. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. Chose the Golden Healer Quartz. So let's start by taking a look at who's crushing on you right now. We have the King of Swords, Seven of Cups, and the Nine of Cups. So the Seven of Cups is giving secret admirer vibes. So somebody who is watching you, and you might kind of have some hints or indicators that there's like love in the air. Maybe you've gotten signs and synchronicities from your guides, your ancestors, your spirit team that says romance is incoming, or like a soulmate is inbound, and it feels like this person is definitely on the scene in a way that they're kind of like planning their move towards you, or when they sort of present themselves. It may be somebody who's kind of shy or reserved, and so they want to, or they're putting a lot of importance, or are just very much awestruck by you, and they're putting a lot of importance on what that first conversation will be like, how they're going to introduce themselves. Somebody who may be kind of a strategist, maybe even an overthinker in a way. They want to be very sort of certain about things within themselves, you know, environmentally, whatever they're able to kind of like observe about you and your situation to, you know, determine like, are you single? Are you seeing anyone? You know, who are you? What do you like? Where does that intersect with kind of like who they are and what it is that they're looking for? So at this point in time, it can definitely, you know, be a sense of like they're in your community in some way. So they've seen you out and about, they've heard about you, kind of like through the grapevine. They've found out bits and pieces of information, but there's almost like a surface level quality to this. They're not necessarily purely, it feels like, just judging it based on your appearance, but there's kind of like a lack of certainty as far as like putting together these various pieces to come up with a definitive sort of solution, or a guarantee or a certainty. This could be somebody who's kind of risk averse in general. So they may be sort of like hesitating, sitting on the fence a little bit, or just putting a lot of emphasis on that planning because they don't know for sure, sort of like, what do you have going on in your life? Would they even be your type? You know, is this something where they may even have almost wounds from past relationships that still haven't healed. This could be somebody who's been single for a while and kind of getting back out there, getting back out in the dating scene even. You're the person that they're kind of like drawn towards in terms of like, okay, it's time to sort of come out of hiding, time to come out of this place where, you know, you're healing your wounds, or you're sort of closed off to love and partnership. You've caught their attention in a way. And so it's a degree of like importance that they're putting on sort of their next step towards you, or the first move towards you. And it may be something where they're kind of tangled up at this particular point in time, in terms of wanting to perfect that. They could be kind of like a perfectionist in general as well, or wanting to make it very special and unique, wanting to come in and sort of stand out from anyone you might have dated previously, or in some way make themselves like a viable candidate or a person of consideration for you, since there seems to be almost like uncertainty about, are you single? You know, are you looking for love at this time in your life? It feels like they may have looked you up online, but you either might not have a social media presence, or there's just not much to go by as far as like what really goes on in sort of your personal life. They may see you as somebody who is very attractive and with a lot of suitors, or they may have seen you out and about like with other people, maybe even like friends that they're sort of like, okay, is this competition? Is this, you know, just a friend? Sort of what's going on? So there's a sense of like their eyes are fixed on you, with the intention, it feels like, of not just remaining on the sidelines, but kind of gearing themselves up for sort of that first kind of conversation. It's possible that this is somebody who's noticed you online, like the algorithm of a site maybe suggested your profile page, and that could have been how they sort of first became aware of you. But if that's the case, it feels like, almost like as coincidence would have it, or conveniently, there would be the ability to like physically meet up with one another. This doesn't feel to be somebody that's kind of putting this much importance or this much buildup on something where it would simply be like a long distance situation. You're close enough to one another that if it had to start online, there would be the ability, in a very sort of relatively speaking easy way, to get together face to face. But it feels more than likely that they sort of have noticed you out and about and are kind of just, they've seen you, you haven't seen them yet, kind of an energy. So let's take a look and see what they admire most about you. Okay, so we have base chakra. Choose only positive thoughts to describe your home, career, and finances, as your words determine your outcome. Archangel Michael, you are working very closely with this powerful archangel who's protecting and guiding you through this situation. The Isle of Avalon, healing, rest, renewal, mystery. Aaronhode, autonomy, life direction, fate, karma. Kindness, and deal. So there's a sense here of this person, from what they're able to like see, what they've heard about you, what they're able to kind of like glean and understand at this point, is that you're a very down-to-earth person. You seem to be very authentic, very genuine, very fair in your dealings. So it's possible they've like seen you out and about in, you know, like going to a store, going to a restaurant, going to a cafe, and there's a sense of relating to people on a level which kind of makes people feel seen, makes people feel included or relevant. You know, you're not just transacting with individuals, but there's almost like a warmth or a very genuine energy that comes through you when dealing with other people. They may have also seen you out and about or have heard things about you where you sort of like stand up for other people. You're somebody who is not shy about kind of, you know, advocating for other people to be treated fairly or like in a compassionate sort of way. It's the kind of thing of like holding doors open for other people, you know, or being very quick to sort of like assist others in their time of need, in their hour of need. They may have seen that about you, or even this is almost bringing forth kind of the vibes of you. A lot of you may resonate as like an empath, for example. So you might get kind of random strangers or just people sort of info dumping on you, kind of what should be just a surface level conversation or a chat becomes something very in depth where people just naturally kind of based on your energy start to offload about their personal problems or struggles. And if they've witnessed that or they've heard that kind of about you and positive feedback, it feels like positive things that people within, you know, a community are saying, or maybe even things, you know, if they're able to sort of see your social media interactions that happen in that capacity, they're seeing you as a very sort of like patient person, something where they themselves might be quite the opposite. Like they'd be very annoyed if people were, you know, coming up to them and sort of behaving in that capacity, or maybe it's something that, you know, they themselves are also kind of an empath and they don't necessarily handle it as well when, you know, people kind of just offload a lot of maybe negativity, toxicity, problems upon this person. And so they almost look to you in a sense of that you're very strong or balanced or patient in a way, because your response is very different from what might almost be kind of like a reaction within this person. This feels to be somebody who might be kind of an introvert as well, specifically because of like the fact that they could be an empath, or are just kind of, you know, shy and quiet in general and just not really a people person. And so you might present as sort of like the opposite from that. Like even if you don't consider yourself a people person, you present very well in that capacity, not in a fake or artificial manner, but almost you step into that role very naturally, and they see you as a humanitarian. More than a people person, you're a humanitarian. You have kind of this ability to make people feel safe, make people feel seen, make people feel valued and appreciated, even if it's something that kind of takes an emotional toll on you or an energetic toll on you. You wear that really well, which is something that it feels like they are attracted to, deeply attracted to. There's a sense of with this person that like they could learn a lot from you, or a sense of like you're the type of person that they almost like would want or need in their life, because unlike others they may deal with who could, you know, typically sort of just feed off this person's energy, feed off this person's light, or kind of, you know, offload a lot of toxicity, and they may not have a lot of people holding space for them. There's a sense of almost like, even if it were just a friendship that developed, or, you know, the idea of like a romantic partnership, you would be that sort of balance. You'd be that kind of yin to the yang that they're looking for, as somebody that could be that sort of person that could hold space for them, perhaps for a change, or would understand in some way kind of what they're going through at times where it might be difficult or undesirable to kind of like go out and mingle amongst people because of this sort of innate tendency within this person. You might resonate as a light worker, they might resonate as a light worker, but it feels like your nature of dealing with that or understanding about that in a way, kind of the path that you've each gravitated towards and sort of what you've developed as far as like energy protection, personal boundaries and barriers, it may be very different. You may be somebody, it feels like they might have even kind of seen things on social media, or they've gathered things about you. You know, maybe you wear like crystal jewelry, or they've heard you talk about certain things where, you know, you're very kind of, or maybe they've seen things that you're like purchasing or buying if you're going into like a spiritual store, or, you know, just things like that, you know, to kind of cleanse and protect your energy. That's something that they really admire about you and really are attracted to about you, because it feels like there's almost an element of you're inspiring them towards solutions to kind of dealing with a component about themselves as well. You've piqued their interest, you've intrigued them in a way, or it might even be that sort of there's a surface level feeling of like our spiritual paths could align. They may be somebody who, you know, is again kind of like deeply sensitive, kind of an overthinker. Maybe they've got, you know, strong psychic abilities, gifts, and skills. This could be somebody who's like spiritually awakened or on an ascension path. And it may even be that you kind of both live in a community where there's not a lot of people like that, or they haven't really met anyone that sort of is resonating with them, at least what they're able to sort of like see and understand or pick up even through kind of their psychic sense and ability, what they're able to read about you energetically. There's a sense of we would fit very well together, either as romantic partners or again, even some kind of a friendship. If they were to take that step towards you and it turns out, you know, that you're not interested, they're not your type, or you're seeing someone, there's almost the sense with this person of kind of like, they're trying to prepare themselves for that. Not really a worst case scenario, but almost like a contingency plan. You know, if the approach of romance doesn't work, it still feels to be something where this person feels like the two of you might be able to like get along, or you could make, you know, you could be good friends, or maybe even that they would kind of like wait it out if you were seeing somebody else, you know, until you're single again, and then sort of try that. So it feels like they're kind of thinking about everything from all angles. There's a sense here too as well, with this idea of like fate and karma and life direction, that this person has become aware of you again at a time in their life where they weren't necessarily looking for love. They may have been kind of closed for spiritual maintenance, you know, on some sort of healing path or journey, or they just sort of encountered you on a regular day when they weren't expecting to kind of like have some sort of spark, have some sort of surge, feel something emotionally for anyone. They may have just been out kind of like running errands, you know, not out searching for love, and yet they've encountered you in a way that there could be other circumstances related to that it feels like are all contributing to this person sort of looking at this as kind of a monumentous occasion that somebody has sparked their interest. Somebody has kind of created a stirring within their heart in a sense. They may have been seeing a lot of like signs and synchronicities related to you, or even a sense of almost anticipating that they would see you, or that they'd run into you, or that they'd encounter you in some sort of way, although it feels like they haven't directly approached yet. And that might have really aligned with kind of something playing out. This could be somebody that also sort of had indicators from their spirit team that like new love's gonna arrive, or like a new opportunity, or like a fated connection. And they may have been preparing themselves for almost like a karmic cycle, or some kind of test, another lesson from things that they had just kind of worked to heal from. And you've come into their reality and almost sort of changed the direction of the type of situation they anticipated was going to be coming down the line. Instead, there's something that's almost like it's opened within the heart space. They are very attracted to the fact that there is so much that is unknown about you, that you are a mystery. This feels to be somebody that's kind of spiritually and emotionally evolved enough to understand that there's only so much they're going to be able to kind of like learn or understand from a distance, that in order to kind of fully whet that curiosity and to really determine, is there truly enough kind of practical or realistic or foundational sort of similarities between me and this other person to where romance could ensue? Or is this something to where, maybe there's just a soul connection between the two of us and we become friends, or we cross paths with one another, and it's sort of a lesson in kind of, what's meant for you won't pass you by, sort of an energy. There's a lot that's not known, which it feels like has put this person into like an overthinking mode, strategizing, planning, trying to get very perfect in kind of the steps that they take, very meticulous in that capacity. But it's something that this is almost intriguing. This might be something where they were kind of in a rut in their life, or it was just kind of boring. Nothing very interesting was happening. And then all of a sudden, here you are. Here is kind of this level of like a surge within them, to kind of wrap up whatever they've been doing as far as healing is concerned, or to start to step beyond sort of a period of maybe where they've been single and just sort of focusing on themselves. So let's get a few message cards from their higher self and see what they would tell you right now if they could. Okay, and they say, even though we're not together, I just can't see myself letting you go. So this is, again, this confirmation that this person is planning to make a move towards you, planning on doing something about this crush situation. They may still be scoping it out, strategizing, trying to work up the courage within themselves to just approach you, to just say hi, to spark that kind of connection, or to at least put themselves out there and see, is a connection even possible? And they also say, I've thought about taking a trip with you. So there's a sense here of whatever sort of environment it is that they've run into you at, or they see you at, there's a desire to kind of have some alone time, something more intimate. This can speak about, asking you out on a date, asking you out for coffee, or even just kind of, maybe you pass this person in the parking lot, or they see you if you're out like jogging or running, or, taking a walk, running errands, things like that. And there's a sense of that it's so fleeting. It's so impersonal. It's so, maybe there's like a lot of other people around, and not an opportunity for them to really have any in-depth conversation with you, beyond maybe just hello or something of that nature. And so there is an interest in, kind of planning what that would be like if they introduce themselves, and, you're interested, kind of what would be that next step? What would be sort of the progress, or, the evolution beyond sort of just that point of introduction into something more. And they also say, I'm speaking through songs. So this person may be a very romantic person at heart. They may be like listening to love songs, listening to romance songs, kind of lost in fantasy at this particular point in time. But they feel to be somebody who's emotionally mature enough that they know they can't just sit in that space, in that kind of liminal space. They have to take action. And they may be somebody that's kind of a dreamer at heart. And so something that they could have tried to heal from in their past was almost a tendency to sort of pedestalize people, to get caught very much in that element of romance and idealism, rather than kind of getting to know a person on like a face-to-face level. And that could have led to a lot of letdowns within themselves and within their romantic past. And so there's a sense of they can't just stay in this dreamy energy forever. They need to do something. They also may be a musician or musically inclined. They also say, I act happy, but I'm not. So this can speak about somebody, again, that kind of is not necessarily like a people person, might be sort of an introvert. It may be very difficult for them to kind of come out of their shell or to take steps forward. This could be something that they have been working on in their own sort of like healing or spiritual journey, is kind of like building their confidence, building that self-esteem. Maybe they've come out of like dark night of the soul, some sort of like ego death, dissolution, and kind of a rebuilding process. So it feels like they've kind of been sitting in their own energy for quite some time. That may be where this sort of emotional evolution has taken place within them, and you've kind of been provided or presented to this person. You've crossed paths with this person as sort of an incentive for them to, maybe take a lot of what they've sort of been doing behind closed doors, or that they've worked on within themselves emotionally or spiritually, and trust in the ability that they, and the understanding that like they've grown, they've evolved, they've raised that vibration, and so accordingly, they will encounter, or there will be provided the opportunity to align themselves with kind of a similar vibration, a like-minded partner. There could be a fear and hesitation on their part of like, I don't want to repeat cycles of the past, or I'm not certain that I've kind of changed and evolved sufficiently, that I'm not going to bring the same sort of wounds and toxicity within myself into like a new connection. That can be something that's almost leading to a bit of wanting to make very much sure within themselves that they're ready to embark on, the potential of romance if you expressed interest as well, and also that they've kind of done their due diligence within to sort of navigate red flags and to create some sort of inventory, not just in terms of red flags outwardly and what they're seeking to avoid, but almost tells or triggers within themselves that may indicate that they're sort of regressing in some way back to like a less evolved or toxic, maybe even like an avoidant version of themselves that they have been working to kind of overcome. And they also say, you gave me that spark. So again, this is something where it doesn't feel like anyone that's been, actively dating anyone for a while. They may have gotten very frustrated with the dating pool and have just sort of been focusing on themselves. And, you've come along and you've crossed their path and you've stirred something within their heart. And they also say, I've been expanding my spiritual knowledge. So there's that confirmation of somebody who is, spiritually awakened. They could be into meditation, into yoga, a similar spiritual practice, or maybe even a different spiritual practice from, what you're focused on or what you resonate with. This is somebody who has done some healing, has done some growth, has done some work within themselves. And so, it feels like almost like a matter of when, not if. This seems to have kind of the right recipe of something like an evolved partner, or the potential for, having like a higher degree of connection with someone than you may have experienced with potential suitors in your past. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, so whatever resonates for you. We've got T, I, G, F, G, J, P, D, W, A, B, Y, R, W, N, M, and U. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the malachite. So let's start by taking a look at who's crushing on you right now. Okay, we have the Hanged Man, Knight of Cups, and the Emperor. So there's a sense here that this is somebody who is very confident within themselves, very successful. This can be in terms of like they're very happy with the life that they've created for themselves. This can be somebody who has overcome a lot of challenges, beat the odds, moved through obstacles or moved obstacles out of the way in order to go through maybe some kind of process of personal transformation, growth and development, or long-term goals that they have had that almost seem very far-fetched, or it was very difficult to kind of achieve these things, that they have reached these goals, they've exceeded these goals, they've met these goals in a way that other people may be very proud of them, may look up to them. They themselves may be very satisfied with where they are in their life. It's almost like I have everything that I want except for love. And so this feels to be something where they've been kind of like holding out for the right person, very selective, and sort of looking for that empress to the emperor. And there's an indicator here that they sort of are seeing you as a person that would be like a very good match for whatever they have going on in their life. You could be that kind of like counterpart energy. This is given like power couple vibes in terms of their anticipation of what the future could hold between the two of you. This may be somebody who's like financially well off. They could be a business owner, self-employed, or even just somebody who's very good at kind of like managing their resources, or they've worked to kind of create some sort of a career or a life for themselves where they're very stable, they're very secure. It may even be something where they've got a lot of time on their hands based on the nature of whatever it is that they do for a living, or things that they may have invested in that have kind of reached a place where it's self-sufficient. It's operational without them having to sort of burn the midnight oil and, put in long hours and things like that. This can be a person that travels for work, does work, abroad or in different kind of parts of the state, parts of the country. They may be somebody who does a lot of transacting online, for example, or just something where they're not necessarily needing to go into an office every single day, or if they are going into an office every single day, it's kind of as the top of that company. So like a CEO, boss, owner type person. This feels to be somebody that is very, again, like secure within themselves, very kind of maybe even well respected within the community or within their particular like field or niche. This is somebody who's an expert at what they do. They've been doing it for quite some time. This isn't just somebody who's recently kind of had success, but they really have become very comfortable in that. It's not a newly established lifestyle. It's almost the life that they've had going on for quite some time. It feels that you may know of this person or you know them directly. It would not be surprising if this person were to like come towards you, if you have dealings with them or of them. They would almost be familiar in that capacity. It wouldn't be necessarily like totally a stranger. So you may have heard of this person. You may have seen this person around. If they're like a business owner, you could have seen like the commercials on TV type of a thing. Or it's like a big brand name of something to where there'd be some ability to kind of know who they are, know what it is that they would be, relating as and correlating as far as what they do professionally speaking. It may also be, it's possible that this could be like a boss or a former boss, a former colleague. This could even have been like a classmate at some particular point in time that has now, it may be a while since you've seen this person and they like established themselves professionally. And so you would have been familiar with like a previous version of them. They've really kind of come into their own. They've really grown and developed and reshaped themselves, or even kind of rebranded the image that they were putting out in some sort of a way. So it might almost be like a familiar person from your past, or somebody that you had seen or you would recognize, but then the presentation of this person very directly to you would be different from like the image you had of them, or what you knew of them, or the person you were kind of interacting with before. It feels to be something where they are in like physical proximity to you, maybe planning that approach, planning that moment of like reaching out. If this is something where you already sort of deal with this person, you interact with this person, it's possible with the Hanged Man here that this could almost be like a friend who has deeper feelings for you, somebody within some kind of shared community setting that could involve meetings that you go to, anything that could have to do with like a gym or a health club, or something where you're like, or a class, something where you're like dealing with people very directly. It's not just necessarily a familiar face. You may know them by name, know their face, but you might not even like know that much about them as a person. But it feels that it would be very easy for them to sort of contact you and to have something established like in a material sense. This isn't some kind of like online connection, or you're having to just kind of go on faith that a person is who they say they are kind of when they reach out, via social media or anything like that. It's possible if it was someone that you knew from your past that has kind of, left the scene. It doesn't feel to be anything where there would have been a romance in the past, but again, it could have been like a classmate or somebody that you were just familiar with that maybe has kind of dropped off the radar in a certain sense, or you haven't heard of them. You've kind of gone your separate ways. They may have moved to the area that you live in. They've moved back to the area that you've lived in. They've gone through some kind of like glow up in their life over a period of time that it feels like has to do with whatever they do professionally, their sense of confidence within themselves, or kind of like other dreams and goals that they have that they may be aiming towards at this point, or that they've already started to or have created some kind of a foundation for themselves in regards to, that it would almost be like the familiar person in a very changed capacity, and yet they're able to directly sort of access you. If there's sort of mutual interest between the two of you, there would be the present ability to spend time with one another, to go out on dates, to get to know one another in sort of a practical sense. This may be somebody who also is kind of like affluent or well off, but they don't present that way. They may kind of present, very humble, very modest, sort of blending in with people around them, or within kind of like the community or the setting that they're in. And so it may be something that is very surprising to kind of learn about the degree of success that they have. If this is something where it's not necessarily like public recognition or public renown, but it may even just be somebody that like, privately has kind of built a degree of wealth or success for themselves that they don't present as very kind of eccentric or flamboyant or gauche on kind of the outside. The presentation may be something that's just very, accessible, very, very relatable. And yet there's an essence here of this is somebody who's very established within themselves. Their focus at this point in their life, it feels like, is looking for that right partner. So this doesn't feel like somebody who's trying to date around. This isn't somebody who's looking for one night stands or is, fearful of commitment. It feels that they've gotten other things in place in their life to the point that it's like, now I want someone to sort of share my kingdom with. Now I want someone, who can kind of be by my side as I continue to sort of move through life in like this upward trajectory that I've created for myself, my narrative arc, which is sort of headed toward positive things. So let's take a look and see what they admire most about you. Okay, we have ear chakras. Notice messages that appear as sounds, music, and words from both external sources and within your mind. These messages are real answers to your prayers. If you get nervous, focus on service. Put your entire intention on answering the question, how can I make the world a better place? And the law of attraction will automatically take care of your needs. Excalibur, action, truth, sovereignty, power. The White Heart, awakening, perspective, new beginnings, realignment. Inspire. And confidence. So there's a sense here that this person really admires the way that you carry yourself, almost like a silent strength or a confidence within you that matches the vibe that they have intentionally cultivated within them. There's a sense here of this person feeling that you could be that partner that they've been looking for. You could be that one, that sort of, empress to the emperor kind of a thing. Whatever you do professionally, again, like the way that you carry yourself, ways in which they've sort of seen you interact with other people, or even if you've interacted with this person on some level, or although with the Hangman, it feels like they're sort of like watching from the sidelines, maybe little, if any, sort of direct interaction with one another. It may just be where you would like catch this person looking at you, from across a crowded room, or you've had just sort of minimal in-depth conversation with one another. They are nevertheless, it feels like a very observant person. It may even be something where, they've kind of deliberately sort of asked other people about you, especially if this is somebody that is like, they've got a degree of success, they've got stability, they've got a life that they've built for themselves, or some degree of affluence, then it may be important to kind of vet out the people that they let into their life, or that they make movement towards. And so there almost could be a sense of like, they've observed you from many different angles and are now at this place of almost certainty that, you seem very genuine, you seem very authentic, very down to earth, very aligned with certain values or belief systems. Maybe what you do for work, what you do professionally in some way is similar to what they do, or aligns very nicely with what it is that they do, things that you are involved with, or that you kind of are passionate about on like a personal level. These are things that align with kind of their morals and values and goals, to where what they're able to sort of see or understand about you at this point in time, that it feels like is very attractive to them, is the fact that you seem to be very truthful, very authentic, very comfortable in your own skin, almost like you have sort of a quiet confidence as opposed to being very boisterous, flashy, or flamboyant. There's almost a sense of like, your worth, what you bring to the table and to the situations that you are in. And you're able to kind of just hold space for other people, it feels like, to be themselves, and yet you're very self-assured in the sense that you're not so easily swayed by trends. They may see you as somebody who's not kind of prone to gossip. You're very sort of like self-directed in your energies, or you focus on things that are of like a higher vibration. You're not kind of operating in toxicity. You give off kind of this air of somebody who may be in touch even with kind of your own sort of spiritual path, or things that they've kind of heard you talk about, or maybe even that you've discussed with one another. If there's some kind of dealing with each other, that you're sort of geared toward a higher mindedness, maybe, or you're more intelligent even than people that they are used to dealing with. You may be even more intelligent than you appear at face value for some, and that this is something that they find very intriguing, very attractive, because this almost feels to be somebody that looks at it like you're a lot more dialed in or clued in to sort of the nature of reality or people that you're dealing with. You have a lot more knowledge of self than other people do, or other people do typically, or that then you present that you would. And so it puts you in a very unique position to, maybe like read energy of other people, be very discerning, and sort of read between the lines of like true intentions of others, because you're maybe mistaken for somebody who's not as aware as you are. And it feels like something where if that kind of resonates, they see that you use that almost degree of personal power, not in a way to take advantage of other people, but in a way to kind of navigate your own life in the direction of connections and circumstances that reciprocate, people that take the time to get to know who you are at your core, rather than sort of just like people pleasing or needing to kind of collect a lot of people around you, sort of basing your value and your worth off of validation or acceptance from others. They see you as somebody who's very, very independent, very strong-minded, which it feels like is very attractive to them. And they also see you as somebody who may be very kind of very focused on like your career goals that you have, causes that you believe in, things that you feel very strongly about. You're not just going to keep company with others in order to sort of fill a void or an empty space, to have sort of like a warm body there. So it may even be that you're single, you're not dating anyone, and they're able to kind of understand that or have come upon that information, which to them speaks of a level of self-respect and self-love that may almost be atypical from people that they've been dealing with, or is just sort of the motives and reasons behind that, if they're aware of that, could be very different from like what other people present. There's a sense that you're not necessarily bitter, you're waiting for the right person. That might be why you're sort of discerning as far as who you romantically align yourself with, who you on like a platonic friendship level align yourself with. You may be somebody with a very small circle, but meaningful sort of connections, or you have a strong sense of personal boundaries in a way that could align very much with sort of this person's method of like moving through the world, or it's something that helps them to sort of understand that you know what you bring to the table, you know your value and worth, and you're not willing to like settle, for poor company just to have somebody to kind of exchange words with, or somebody to kind of fill in gaps within your time, within your day. So you may be somebody that's, again, kind of just confident within yourself, not afraid to like go eat at a restaurant alone, not afraid to kind of like have opinions about things, or lead a certain type of lifestyle that may be somewhat divergent from kind of what other people are doing within a community, or that would be typical of like your age group, for example, or in whatever, other ways that sort of resonates for you. And it's something that this person is they really are attracted to that. They admire that. It's a turn on to them. It feels like you also represent with this idea of like new beginnings and awakening, that this is almost, you're very different from the type of person that they may have dated in their past or dealt with romantically in their past, that sort of caused them to close the door to kind of inviting other people in. They may have been someone who was burned in love in the past. This could also be somebody that was like married previously and it didn't work out, and it was maybe like a costly divorce, or it cost them a lot emotionally speaking, to where it's almost they have been looking for a different sort of partner, maybe not, the second time around, or whatever number of times around that would be for them. And you are somebody that is very different from anybody that they've known, or that they've dated, that they've interacted with. And so there's this level of intrigue, not just that you are, something shiny and new and novel, but there's something about kind of like the essence or the energy that you bring forth that helps them to really sort of see, at least at this particular point in time, that you might be that very different kind of individual, that almost like change in a healthy direction that could be, what they need at this particular point in their life. So this feels like somebody also with this Knight of Cups, it's kind of gearing up to make that move towards you, to, ask you out, or to in some way kind of deepen the nature of your interactions with one another at this point in time, if you already sort of have like a face-to-face dialogue. So let's get a few messages from their higher self and see what they would tell you right now if they could. Okay, and they say, I'm situating this karmic situation. So this does not feel to relate to a third party in the form of another person, but there may be something like professionally, financially, that they're wrapping up, that they're needing to deal with, that's having to do with maybe like contracts or an expansion of something, something that may kind of be taking up a lot of their time at this particular point. Or this could even be something where, they're really, if this is somebody that's like very serious about kind of, maybe dating to marry or looking just for long-term relationships, partnerships, this could be something where they're kind of looking at their finances, maybe talking to an attorney, talking to financial advisors, whatever, to sort of see if this situation were to say, I introduce myself to this person, we start dating, we enter into a relationship, we get married, like what's that going to look like? What would all of that kind of, how would that factor into things? That might be something that is kind of, which may seem a little bit strange from like a crush situation, but it feels like this could be somebody who either has a lot to lose or they've aligned themselves in the past with kind of like the wrong partner and they did lose out. So as kind of just a way to sort of create confidence within themselves or sort of, cover all potential aspects, it feels like that is something that they're at least asking about, they're at least kind of looking into in preparation to sort of present themselves to you, and see where it goes very organically. They also say, I've been sending you messages in the 5D. So this could be somebody who, is psychic, is spiritual, understands about kind of like energy and energy transfer, things like that. They may be sort of like, trying to sort of dip their toe in the water, energetically speaking, to see sort of, they sense a deeper connection. Is this something that you're kind of resonating with? This may be somebody who's been looking for a spiritually based connection, and that might be something that's very different from kind of like the outside image that they present. If they do something that's kind of practical or mundane, there may be this whole other like spiritual side of them that people don't know about. And so there's a sense of almost trying to like knock on that door first to see, is this something you resonate with? Is this kind of like a deeper connection that you feel as well? Or, can we start with this and then sort of build from the top down in this kind of a situation? This can also be something where they're so kind of like focused upon you, and they may know about the idea of like, energy flows where attention goes. So it would just almost be a natural assumption on their part that you either would have an indicator that like someone's getting ready to approach with a romantic offer, or if you have some nature of dealings with this person in like a face-to-face or like direct physical kind of capacity, there's almost a presumption on their part that they thought about you so much, certainly you're on their mind. Or you're on their mind. Certainly there would be some kind of ripple effect from that. And they also say, I've thought about surprising you with a date. So again, this is somebody who's gearing up, getting ready to shoot their shot, to make their move, to present themselves. They may be a little nervous about that because this isn't somebody who's just dating around or, trying to like casually get to know people. It feels like they're very practical, in the sense that you obviously would have to get to know one another in a direct sense, but this is somebody that they're only going to take action if they're certain within themselves that like it feels right, they've vetted the situation out in whatever ways that sort of applies. And so now they're kind of at this place of like wrapping up whatever other loose ends they have going on in their life in other capacities in order to be able to sort of dive in with you fully. They also say, I act happy, but I'm not. So this is a confirmation of somebody who may have a lot of material security, be very confident within themselves, or present as somebody very confident. People may look up to this person. They may get a lot of attention from other people, professionally or admirers, things in that sense. But there's almost a loneliness within this person. They have everything that they want except for that romantic partner to kind of share everything with. They also say I've been more focused on money because I'm trying to build for myself. So they may be still recovering from like a divorce, something where they've, you know, expanded professionally, and they're needing to kind of get to the point where, you know, their investments is turning a profit. This may also be something where, you know, they've been single for a while and just sort of working to build material security for themselves. So they bring a lot of stability, it feels like, in a lot of ways to the table, not just financially, but in terms of the effect that that has, like, upon their self-esteem as well. And they also say you gave me that spark. So that's that Excalibur energy right here, that like Ace of Swords energy, where there's a sense of this person sensing a soul connection between the two of you, really liking your vibe, really liking what they feel energetically. They may be dreaming about you a lot, you know, feeling your energy around them. They may be aware enough kind of spiritually to understand about soul connections, soulmates, and you know, it feels like they equate you with being a soulmate, or they're open-minded enough to be able to realistically consider that you may be the one, like the person that they've been looking for. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got R, P, H, V, S, T, W, L, P, Q, J, Y, A, and D. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.